Welcome to this video in the MRDCL Understanding Concepts series. In this video we look at what quantity and respondent weighting mean and how they work and work together. You'll find the files for this video in the folder TAB 101. So in this video we're going to look at how quantity weighting works and how respondent weighting works. What we're not going to cover in this video is how you get MRDCL to calculate factors for target weighting, rim weighting. They're covered in separate videos. So to keep this example nice and easy, we're going to have a respondent weight actually in the data, and we're going to look at how that works. Alright, so I'm going to start looking at the script here, and what we've got is a format option here, ADF, and ADF means accept decimals in fields. And we're picking up the weight that we're going to give each respondent to adjust their what proportion they are within the sample. We're going to pick up the weight from the field 9 to 12. So if we switch to the data file, you can see this is 9 to 12 here for the first respondent. So the first respondent's getting a weight of 12.5, the second respondent 0.87, and so on down to the last respondent that's getting a weight of 12.5 as well. So that's the respondent weight that we're just picking up off the data to adjust the sample to perhaps some known targets. Then we're picking up the gender data from column 5, the age from column 6, and we're picking up a price that someone's paid for something from 7 and 8. So if we look at the 7 and 8, we can see that this person spent $10, this one $5 maybe, this one 20, 8, and so on down to the last one spending $9. Now what we're going to produce is a mixture of tables. We're going to produce a table that just has gender by age, just a standard crosstab with no weighting applied whatsoever. So that's going to be table 1. The second table we're going to weight by the amount they spent. So the table no longer is in terms of people, an analysis of gender by age. It becomes an analysis of money spent. So it's a quantity table, and we're going to get that by selecting WQ dollar price and doing the table after that. So that's it works rather like the way a format option works, that variable price will be used to weight every table by the quantity until we turn it off. And indeed we'd actually turn it off straight after this table with select WQ1, which sets it back to the default 1, so that it actually is having no effect, or it'll just be respondent based from there on in, unless it's another select WQ, of course. So select WQ means I want to weight the table by price rather than just have people in the table or respondents. The next table is weighting the data by the respondent weight that we picked up off that field 9 to 12 in the data. Now this time we select WR because it's not the same thing, it's a weight to the respondent. And the reason it's not the same is that when you weight respondents, you should be showing an unweighted base on your tables to conform to market research rules. So select WR will weight the respondents by a value, but it will also give us on our tables the unweighted base so that anybody using the tables can see how many people were in the actual sample. Then we move on to the fourth table, which is using both. So select WR has not been turned off. You would turn it off with select WR1 if you wanted to set it back to 1, just like the select WQ one above. But we've got select WR weight still running, but we've now got select WQ price appearing. So not only is the table weighted by the respondent weight that's actually on the data, it's also weighted by the amount they spent, as we saw at table 2, but this time with weighting applied on the respondent weight. And then just to set it back to unweighted tables again, we've got select WR1, select WQ1, and we just do a table of gender by age and age by total just to get some tables based on respondents again. For each table there's a footnote, so FT unweighted, so unweighted would come out at the bottom of table 1, weighted by quantity under table 2, and so on, so that we can just check we understand what all these tables are and we don't get confused. Right, let's run those tables now then. Let's go to our our script, let's run it, and let's look at our 6 tables. So the first table shows 7 respondents, 4 males and 3 females. If we go back to our data file, here they are, there's a male, there's a male, there's a male, female, 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 so it's quite right, there's 4 males and 3 females. On to our next table. Now this table is weighted by the quantity or the amount they spent. So it's not 4 people anymore, it's $44 spent by the 4 males and $34 spent by the 3 females. Let's check that. So here's the male, the first one. He spent $10. This male spent $5. This male spent $20. And we go down here and we got a male that spent $9. So 10 plus 5 is 15 plus 20, 35. You'd expect 44 to come out on the table, and indeed that's what we got. And indeed the total you can see here is 78 across the whole sample. And if we did the same exercise with the 3 females here, we can see they spent $8, $25 and $1, which is $34. Now we come to the respondent weighting. Now with respondent weighting, we get this unweighted row coming out to confirm that there's 7 respondents that make up the now 30.6 respondents that we've got going into the table. The 3 under 35-year-olds end up to 26 and so on. Let's look at the total of the weight. So 30.6 is what it's coming out with the total. So that should be the sum of these figures here. And I can see we've got 12.5 and another 12.5, so that's 25. And hopefully those other 5 weights there actually add up to 30.6. It looks right. I'm not going to check it now, but I'm sure it is right. Then we come to table 4. Now that's showing an unweighted base of 7, but a total expenditure of $305.4. So when their data is weighted by the respondent weight and it's weighted by the amount they spent, we get $305.4. And again, you could check that back by looking at the data. Finally, we set it back to respondent base and no quantity weighting. So now we're just back to the 7 respondents, just a standard cross tab of 7 respondents and a standard table on age for the 7 respondents there. So that takes you through how quantity and respondent weighting work and how they interact together. If you're interested in how to do target weighting or rim weighting so that the MRDCL script actually calculates the factors from the targets that you've given it, that's a separate video. And likewise, if you want to do rim weighting where the factors are automatically calculated for you, that's a separate video. But the principles of how you apply that to tables will be exactly the same. Thank you.